do not deal well with death in our culture at all. And we're coming up on a year since we lost my mom. And when I wanted to talk about this, because I know this is something that it's a universal thing. Everybody, I'm sorry, I'm checking to see if one of my friends will message me if I don't have sound. I must, because I haven't heard anything. But it's universal. We all are going to have to face grief. And it's funny because for all the commonalities that there are, you know, the 5 stages of grief, everybody's heard of those. But grieving is also an extraordinarily individual experience. So anyway. Oh, crud. I did not get my source. Oops, I hate it when I do that. But here's some tips, 10 tips for dealing with grief. Number 1, you need to pray for strength. Look, a lot of people don't believe in a higher power, and you know, do you? It's not my place to tell you what to believe, but I will tell you that I would not have made it through this past year if I didn't have my faith. I would not be able to deal. I don't feel sorry for myself at all, and I don't want to sound at all. I don't want to sound like I do, but I deal with a lot of crap all the time. My health, and this is honestly, this is the worst climate I could be in for the health issues that I have. But my faith gives me strength that I wouldn't have otherwise. And when you're dealing with grief's the hardest thing you're going to go through. When you lose somebody really close to you, your entire life has just been ripped apart, and it's difficult to deal with. Prayer soothes your soul. When we lost my aunt a few years ago, that's when I really started getting back in touch, started trying to find my way back to God. I prayed a lot after she passed, and I would pray for strength and for grace to get through my days, because I really had a hard time with her loss. The second thing you need to do, this is what's hard for me. I am like super outgoing and bubbly and gregarious, but I don't like to talk about really personal, really deep things with people. But you got to let it out. You can't swallow this emotion. You can't try to stuff this down, because it will take a physical toll on you eventually, I promise. But you need to let it out. Look, your life has just changed forever. You're dealing with some incredibly intense emotions, and you're going to have the most, if you haven't faced this yet, you're going to sit there and be like, what the hell is wrong with me that I'm thinking this way? All the stuff that you're going through, it's normal. Getting this crap off your chest, expressing it, finding somebody. Look, if you got to pay a shrink and you can afford it, get a shrink. But I hope you have a friend. I hope you have a support system. If it's a family member, I really hope that your family can come together and support each other through this. But you have to express this stuff. Cry if you have to, but you know what? Some people don't cry, and that's okay. If that's how you cope, nobody should judge you for that, and don't let anybody make you feel guilty about that. There's no right way to grieve. We all have to go through this, and like I said, there's a lot of commonalities, but it's also an intensely individual process. So if you're not a crier, don't beat yourself up about it. That's just who you are. It's not a bad thing. For goodness sakes, I cry at the freaking drop of a hat. I'd far rather be someone who didn't cry very easily than someone who cries way too easily. Anyway, number 3, keep a journal. A journal is a really healthy way to process difficult emotions. My suggestion, I'm not an expert, but I've been through this a few times. My suggestion is you get all your negative emotions out on your page, and then stop and give yourself 3 things. Write down 3 things that you're grateful for, even if they're super basic, like I have a roof over my head, I have running water, and I have electricity, which we consider basic in our society, but they're really not. We all should be really appreciative of those things. But if you're really down in the dumps, those are 3 things I guarantee you should be grateful for. But the reason I like to finish, especially if it's a really heavy, emotionally filled journal page, I like to finish with something positive because it helps switch my brain out of that negativity, and it gives me, okay, I've gotten all this crap off my chest, and now I've given myself something a lot more happy and positive to think about and to focus on. And for me, it was really helpful. You could just say at the end of it, I'm thankful I made it through today. In fact, when my aunt passed away, that's what I would tell people. Well, you know what? The best thing I can say about today is I don't ever have to live it again. So, if that's what you're grateful for at the end of the day, truly be grateful for that. If you can start building up your gratitude, it's going to make a big difference, not just in your grieving process, but in your life overall. Number 4, this is one I have a very hard time with, and this is one that most people with health issues are going to have a hard time with. You've got to avoid isolation. Look, that's my nature. When I get really stressed and when things are not going well, I shut down. I'll get online and be really bubbly, but I can completely control that. When I don't want to talk to anybody, I just put the phone down. I just shut the computer and walk away from it. Can't really do that if I'm out, But people with chronic illness, we already have a hard time getting out of the house. And now you add grief to that, and you're really not going to want to get out of the house. Because, I don't know how many of you healthy people are aware of this, but that grief, it has a physical impact. Now, a lot of healthy people might not notice that, but when you live with this, when you live with chronic pain, you become keenly aware of the mind-body connection, and you can't wallow in this. You've got to get out of your house. You've got to let your friends and your loved ones support you. You need to reminisce. It's healing. It's good for you. You'll laugh through the tears. Look, when my sister-in-law, my brother's wife is, excuse me, she's one of my closest friends. And she helped me. My mom was not healthy enough to clean out my aunt's place, nor would I have wanted her to, because they were super close. So my sister-in-law and I did it, and it was hard. And then we did it again with a lot of mom stuff. We haven't got all mom stuff out, but we went through her closet last fall. Anyway, time frames are relevant. It's a hard task, but through all the tears, we would find something, and all of a sudden we'd just start cracking up. Hey, do you remember when this happened? Or like when my aunt passed, my cousin and his wife came up. We did so much reminiscing. My aunt was a kick in the pants. She was so funny. Number 5, you need to stay busy. You need to fill your time. Do what you love. Don't just waste your time on social media. Don't just get sucked into something that's going to probably bring about more uncomfortable, unpleasant emotions, because you're going to be really raw for a while. Fill your time. Try new things. Is there something you've always wanted to learn knitting? Well, you know what? You can go online, and I'll bet you can find somebody to teach you basic knitting for free. Drawing, whatever the hell you're into, try something new. Pick up an old hobby. But don't, for goodness sakes, don't wallow in it. You know why you can't wallow in it? I know it's tempting. But if you really loved that person that passed and they loved you, do you really think they want you to wallow in it? Absolutely not. I guarantee you, if they loved you at all, they don't want you to wallow in it. Number 6, you need to set simple goals. What? No, you do. You really do. If you're really, it gives you something to look forward to, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. Set some daily goals, like I'm going to walk 30 minutes every day this week. Or you could do a weekly goal. I'm going to walk for 30 minutes 3 times this week. If you're struggling, lady, screw you. I don't want to do that. I'm not there, because I get it. You know what you do? You write down on your to-do list things that you absolutely know that you're going to accomplish. I'm going to brush my teeth tomorrow. Do you know, if you've watched my videos, you know, because I say this a lot, one of the most horrifying things I ever learned was from a friend of mine who's a dental hygienist. There's a lot of people who choose not to brush their teeth for whatever reason, like ever. Why would you do that? But if you got up and brushed your teeth, and if you're up up to here in grief and you just don't know how you're going to stand it, but you pulled yourself out of bed and you got yourself showered and you brushed your teeth. You should have all that stuff on your to-do list if you're really struggling, and then cross those off. I know it sounds silly, but I'm telling you, those little things are going to help. It's going to give you an anchor. It's going to help you so much. That sense of accomplishment, even if it is just crossing off that you brushed your teeth, it's going to give you a sense of accomplishment, and that's a positive feeling. Number 7, you need to live in the moment. The past is gone. It's gone. You cannot change any of it. So you can't get stuck there. Find something to appreciate in the moment. Find something that speaks to your soul. I'm really lucky. Dance speaks to my soul. That's how I choose to exercise. And I'm really fortunate that I have that, because Alaskan winters are long, cold, and dark, and otherwise I wouldn't have a whole lot, honestly. But get outside, go for a walk, get some fresh air if you can. What makes you happy? Music? Sunshine? Maybe going to sit by the river and just watching the water? But find something that makes you happy. Go get a massage. Go out to your favorite restaurant. Go have a spa day. But do something positive. Oh, I'm way off. Ha ha ha. Whoops. I'm sorry. That was on. I jumped ahead. That was number 8. But back to number 7 of living in the moment. It's the simple things like going outside, like going for a walk. That stuff's going to soothe your soul, if you allow it to. If you don't, sometimes we get locked into a mental state, and it's like, no, I don't care. I'm not going to snap out of this mood. Got to recognize it when you're there, guys. You do, because that's a terrible place to be. Number 8, you need to be good to yourself. So here's where I started with the shoes. But this is really important. In fact, I just emailed, I have a coworker who's going through, she's in the process, she's young. I feel so bad for her. Her dad's passing away. I don't know any details, but I got the impression that this is just not it's kind of slow, and that's always hard. And I messaged her today, emailed her, and I said, I hope I'm not overstepping, but I heard what's going on, and I'm sorry. And I said, please remember to be good to yourself. It's important. You need to find simple ways to appreciate yourself and to just love who you are. So that's where the shoes, the massage day, the spa day, any of that stuff that makes you happy. Pick up a new hobby. Revisit an old one. Do something that requires focused attention. Creativity. If you find something creative to do, it's going to stimulate the feel-good hormones in your brain. You know what else makes you feel good? Exercise. It really does. Number 9, you need to treasure the memories. When you're ready, you need to go through the things that bring back memories. Photos, notes. For me, it's recipes. My aunt was the most incredible home chef I've ever met in my life. She was so crazy talented. And my mom was a pretty dang good cook. She wasn't as into it as my aunt was, but just yesterday, I found a recipe that my mom had written. There's something about the handwriting that always really gets me. But you don't have to go through this stuff this week, this month. You can't hang on to it forever, though. You got to process this. But when you're ready, go through all the things that bring back memories. And be grateful. You're going to cry. Certainly. But that's okay. You need to be... Look, if it weren't for all the good times, if it weren't for all the love and the happiness that you had with that person, you wouldn't be grieving. So, you gotta be grateful for the good times. One of my favorite good times with my mom, and I honestly don't remember the actual moment, but it was one of her favorite stories to tell about me. Is I have a very infectious laugh, and when I was a little girl, it was even more so. And she took me to see Cinderella in the movie theater. And no, it was not the original screening. I'm not that old. But she said it got to the point where all the adults around us, when something funny would happen, they'd all wait and wait until I started to giggle. And once I started to giggle, all the adults around us would crack up. And Mom said it was the cutest thing. And you know what? I'm grateful that I have that memory. I'm grateful that I was able to take her to see one of her favorite plays. It must have been right before COVID. It was in the winter of 2019. And we actually, for being a small town in the middle of nowhere, we actually have a pretty damn good art scene. And Mom loved The Sound of Music. And one of my really close friends, his son, was starring in it. So we went, and I got to tell you, there was a lot of things about that night that were hard and really emotional for me. But when I looked over, and Mom she's tapping her foot, and she's not singing out loud, but you can tell she's singing the songs to herself. That was one of the best nights of my life, and I am so grateful for that memory. Gratitude is so beneficial. You've got to be grateful for the good times. Again, you wouldn't be grieving if you didn't have all those happy memories. You wouldn't be grieving. You wouldn't care very much. Number 10, spend time with your loved ones. You need to remember that you are loved. You are. I promise. You may not feel it sometimes, but somebody loves you. And you need to allow people this is where I really stumble. You need to allow people who love you to help you. I'll be real honest. I don't like asking anybody. I don't care how long I've known you. I don't care how close we are. And I might confide a lot of personal details of my life to you, but ask you for help? No, that's not my thing. But you need to allow the people who love you to help you. So if they ask, tell them what they can do. And if there's nothing they can do, just say, I appreciate you asking, but I can't think of anything. But if you spend time with your loved ones, that's also going to help you stay busy. And then if you're spending time, if you lost a family, like with Mom, and when my aunt passed, spending time with the family, it helps you face some of those emotions that are so difficult to express. I'll tell you, it never goes away. It changes. The pain eases to a larger degree. But you just got to learn to live with it. What choice do you have? Well, I did better than I thought I would, but yeah, I'm going to go. I hope you guys have a great night. I will be back Friday at 5 o'clock Alaska time. And look, if you're struggling with grief, if you don't have anybody else to talk to, for goodness sakes, call the suicide hotline. Don't do anything stupid. People make these crazy snap judgments when they're dealing with this immense pressure. There's somebody out there that's going to listen. For goodness sakes, if nothing else, find me on Twitter. I'll listen. But you got to find somebody to talk to about this stuff. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. Y'all have a great night. I'll see you Friday. Thanks.